All right, everyone who is joining us now, and then, everyone who's joining us in a little bit, you'll see soon. But obviously, thank you all for joining us today. Our goal for this entire webinar is to make it extremely valuable and not wasting an hour of your time. To give you a real brief synopsis of what we're going to be focusing on here, 20, 30 minutes tops of CRO best strategies and what, basically the strategies that we implement, what we suggest, how to dig into them, that kind of stuff. But then we're going to get into the good stuff of actually pulling up some of the websites that were already submitted to us, and we're going to go through them live and show you a lot of the things that we keep an eye out for when we're optimizing these websites. But either way, welcome to the live CRO teardown. We're going to walk you through how to control a customer journey and increase your average order value and your lifetime value, not just your conversion rate. Big thing to focus on right before Q4. I'll touch on that in a little bit here soon, but the most obvious being why spend all this money in marketing if your website doesn't convert. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get moving here. To give you a little bit of insight into who we are, my name is Andrew Maffetone. I'm the founder and CEO here at BlueTuskr. And of course, I am joined by the ever handsome Jason, who is our senior digital designer and our CRO expert in-house, who is going to make sure that I don't say anything wrong. Mm-hmm. Right, Jason?
Of course. Don't let that bow tie fool you either.
I love the suit. You look handsome.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. So what are you going to learn? Why are you all here? Why are we doing this? So we're going to go through some real quick basics because I try not to do the basics because I hope that a lot of you already know this already. But what is CRO? Then we're going to talk about the overall effect CRO has on your website. We're going to talk about how you can make sure that your website overall is successful and consistently improving, what to A/B test, and then we're going to get into the good stuff where we'll actually do a live action CRO teardown of several websites that are already submitted to us. And if we have time, possibly some of yours that are here with us today. A little bit of housekeeping. On the right-hand side, you've got a chat there. Feel free to drop in any questions you have at any time. There's two options. There's a Q&A and there's a chat. Try to keep it all in the chat just so I don't have to bounce back and forth, and we'll keep an eye on stuff there. And then outside of that, if we've got time, so we've got a bunch of you already filled out the form so that we're actually we already know some of the sites that we're going to be tearing down live. If we've got a little bit extra time, we will try to get to some additional ones if you wanted to have yours done live. Just a forewarning, we are not going to hold back, but feel free to drop your website into the chat. And if we've got time, we're going to try and get to it at the end. And if not, we might be able to find a way to get it done for you anyway. So go ahead and start dropping it in there. And then, of course, at the very, very end, we are going to be giving away a full website CRO audit. We are going to dive through someone's website completely from front to back, and we are going to do a complete audit on your entire website. Normally, we have a nice little fun fee that we charge, but we're not going to charge you. It's going to be totally free. So stick around towards the end, and I will show you exactly how you can win that. And then, of course, digging into why we're all here, right? So the most obvious, typical CRO stands for conversion rate optimization. Clearly, you want to improve the conversion rate of your website. However, that also means that you want to improve the overall LTV of your website. You want to improve the average order value. We're all here to basically reduce our customer acquisition costs, make as much profit as possible, and retire. And so we're going to give you a little bit of that on how to do that. We're also going to show you how you can kind of increase the overall ROI in Q4, because Q4 is a very different type of time on what you want to focus on. And then we're going to go through how you can kind of focus on converting organic channels versus your paid channels. We're going to touch on all the different strategies that we use for 7-8-figure sellers, that all their websites that we're using, no matter how many visitors they have, and what we're implementing to do those certain kind of tests. And then we're going to touch on how you can kind of judge it against competitors and all that fun stuff. So real quick, before we go through any of this stuff, everyone who's here with us now, I'm going to drop a quick little poll for you. You run CRO tests. Boom. Changing the poll a little bit from when I made these slides, so bear with me. But we're going to do what I'm very curious to know is when the last time was you performed any kind of CRO test on your website. So a CRO test, which we'll touch on specifics, but that could be something as basic as button colors, structure. It could be copy. It could be pricing. It could be offers. It could be A spots, B spots, product imagery. There's a billion things. Mm-hmm. So let you guys kind of fill out that poll. Looking like a majority of you, it's been almost a year. Mm-hmm. Actually, I take that back. A majority of you have never run a CRO test. Interesting. Okay. Beautiful. Then you're going to love this brief hour we're going to take up of your time here. I'll keep moving while we're waiting for that poll to fill out. But I think now is the time. Ready to do this?
Sure. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm like the hype man, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you there. So, all right, conversion rate optimization, turning page views into customers, right? So, real quick, we're gonna go over kind of how this really resonates to more of a retail perspective, right? So, it's kind of like creating that overall experience, determining that customer journey. So, if you walk into a retail outlet, or even if you go into a restaurant, you can actually see that they'll guide you through certain areas, and there's a reason things are placed in certain areas. Your website is absolutely 100% no different. There's a reason that a lot of websites are structured relatively similarly, simply because the average user is used to it. So unless you have some crazy experience and you have the ability to teach them how that experience is different, it is very, very similar to an overall retail approach. So maintaining it, updating it, and kind of adjusting the way that you're making people go through their funnel is the best way for you to be able to strategize the overall conversion. And so we're going to touch on a lot of that here real quick. I'm going to end this poll. Looks like more than half of you are never run a CRO. Now it's half of you have never run CRO test. Yeah. The rest, it's been at least 3 months for a majority of you. So looks like we've got some opportunity to teach you guys some stuff here. So we're going to CRO real quick, basic stuff. What is your standard conversion rate optimization? So Jason, how would you define conversion rate optimization?
I define it as putting tests in place to try, or design elements in place to try and predict or persuade your user to do a certain action on your website. So just like you were talking about, I mean, the most basic example would be testing a CTA, and if it's the most like bright thing on your website where you can see, someone should click that first before anything else in its simplest form.
Great. Yeah, it's I see it as really 2 to 3-ish different, really probably 2 different ways. The quickest and easiest way to get someone information and get them to do what you want them to do, which basically what you just mentioned. And then when it's time to kind of capitalize on that, how do you get them to do a little bit more? Like basically the increase in the average order value side of things, right? So we have a couple examples here of, like a heat map of seeing where are people clicking, where are they spending a majority of their time. But then over time, the question is, okay, what are they purchasing? How do we get them to purchase other things? So there's a lot more data from like a purchasing of the actual product side of things that we'll touch on as well. Overall, analyzing the user behavior, you definitely have to use, it's all data-driven strategies. You can make in fact, this has happened many, many times, where Jason makes something that is beautiful and it looks awesome, but it just doesn't convert as well as you'd like it to. And sometimes you A/B test it, and lo and behold, your audience wants something different, in which case it is what it is. So it's a great way to listen to your existing audience. And so having those data-driven strategies of adjusting certain things based on A/B tests that you're running, or any kind of test that you're running, or simply just taking information from a heat map and implementing that. So there's a lot of different stuff that can help really improve the overall marketing efforts and really help optimize the overall site and all the elements that you've got on that site from both a desktop, and we're going to drive this one home from a mobile perspective, because most people, I would guess, who are joining us today are really that your audience probably starts on, they at least start the process on mobile, and then they move to desktop if they're purchasing. So we're going to focus on that too.
Yeah.
Wrong button. So there's a lot of different kinds of conversion rates. You know what? So when everyone registered for this, someone made a comment. I should have wrote the person's name down, so I apologize. They asked us, why are we focusing on conversion rates instead of ARPU, right? So your average revenue per user. Honestly, those are kind of one and the same. However, the average revenue per user is kind of like saying if you've got 100,000 visits a month and you made $100,000, then the average visitor is worth $1. The only reason I'm not a huge fan of that Really the only reason I'm not a huge fan of that metric is because of the marketing side of things. You've got people who are coming to you for the very, very first time. So to attribute the same value to them as you would to someone who shops with you all the time is kind of ridiculous. So the reason we focus on conversion rates is because of exactly that, because each page, each technology, each source, they all have their own different conversion rate, and you can focus on improving the conversion rate of each of them, but there's a reasoning behind why you want to improve one versus another. You have the obvious stuff, right? So your entire website, what is the conversion rate of people who are purchasing and or leads / like emails being submitted? Very straightforward. But then you want to think like, okay, on desktop, chances are, like I said, most of the people on this site already started on mobile. So really on desktop, we want to make sure that the conversion rate is focused on how do we get them to have very little clicks when they're probably coming direct from mobile. They already know what they want to do. How do we get them straight to where they want to be? However, on a mobile side, how do we make it very easy for them to use and explore the website with a smaller screen, relatively similar thing with tablet? And then you think browser, because the way your website looks on Chrome versus Safari versus Firefox could be completely different. Then you have the source side, because if you think about paid traffic, depends on what that paid traffic is. So you really could get down to like the specific source. But if you think about that paid traffic side, you have social media ads, which are very top of funnel. You have your search ads, which are a lot more middle of funnel. Then you have your organic side of things, which is traditionally relatively top of funnel. Then you have just regular social media marketing. You have email, which is a little bit more lower funnel. So you have all these different sources, and you have to know where is that person coming from, and then where are they landing? And that's the overall thing that you want to focus on. So just focusing on how do I improve the overall conversion rate for purchases on your website could be a completely loaded question, because the overall actual issue could be coming from one of the sources. It could be coming from technology. So you have to A/B test every little thing. How am I doing so far, Jason?
Great. I mean, even to add to that with the technology, we can base tests off device type as well.
Yeah,
so it's just
exactly.
You can break these tests down as like down to a certain audience as much as you want.
Like theoretically, you could A/B test a CTA color, and that would essentially be one test. However, if you broke it down by tech, device, source, you're looking at hundreds of tests.
Yep. You could do it. iPhone, Android, everything.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite slides, because this is kind of this is the thing that really drives me crazy, which is why we wanted to take such a big focus on CRO. In this scenario, let's say you're spending $15,000 a month on marketing. That could be your paid advertising costs. It could be just your fees of marketing in general from a management perspective, your influencer cost, anything like that, right? Let's just say it's $15,000. Now let's say your average order value is $75. Let's say that with that $15,000, you're getting about 50,000 visitors to your website, and you have a relatively low / like kind of basic conversion rate. You'd get 1,000 orders. So you're making $75K a month, right? If the ROI from your marketing costs, right? So let's assume they're paid advertising costs. So it'd be your ROAS, right? So you're looking at a $60,000 gross profit. If you did a handful of tests that was able to improve the conversion rate on your website by just 0.3%, you're looking at an additional $11,250 a month in profit, not in overall revenue, in profit. So that is a massive jump from a very, very small improvement. So when you look at the overall percentages of things, if you're getting like 10 orders a month and you improve your conversion rate by 1%, you get one extra order a month. Yeah, not really that big of a deal. But if you're doing tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars a month in some cases, and you're improving your conversion rate by 0.0 anything, it can be the difference of several people's salaries. So not focusing on the overall CRO aspect of your website when you're spending all of this money driving traffic to it makes no sense to me. It's kind of like people saying, you keep inviting me over to your home, but your home sucks. And then you basically are like, hey, you should come back over. And they're like, no, your home sucks. And you do nothing to improve your home, but you want people to come visit you. Eventually, no one's going to want to visit you. Only people who have never knew that your home sucked are going to keep coming to visit you. How's that analogy? Is that tolerable?
Yeah, it works. It's probably a hard hit to some people's reality, but yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, it works.
So understanding CRO, achieving successful CRO tests here. So really what you need to know, you've got to do the initial research before you do anything. You can't just go like throwing stuff up there and doing your typical tests, right? So you got to know who your actual audience is. So a lot of that data you can typically pull from, thank you, Mara. You agreed with my analogy. You got to know who your audience is. You've got to know the pathways. So like usually start off like, what are the top ones? Where they come in from desktop on Chrome through paid ads or something like that, and map that whole thing out. Then you have to take into effect any recent changes that were done in your website, and then the strengths and weaknesses on your site. You're already going to know what the best parts of your website are because you stare at it all day. But the problem is the user who comes into it and has no idea how to use it. It's the first time they're seeing it. It's got to be so intuitive for someone who has no idea what they're doing on your website. So understanding a lot of that research in the beginning is a big key. So from a research perspective, there's a bunch of stuff out there you can use. We're Hotjar partners, so we use Hotjar a lot for that kind of stuff. That's where that heat map and everything kind of comes in. Of course, you can also use Google Analytics. And then depending on landing pages and things like that, HubSpot's obviously a good example for those of you that might be on the B2B side, but others, like let's say you're using Unbounce or something, tracking that click data is a lot easier through platforms like that than it would be through like a Shopify or something. The hypothesis stage. Jason, how would you explain this? How do you kind of come up with the ideas of like, these are probably the tests that we want to do, and this is the direction we want to take it in, at least in the beginning?
Well, in the beginning, after at least looking through all the research tools and everything like that, and like developing kind of a know of what's going on with the website, you pretty much, it's kind of like a scientific hypothesis. You go, what's the problem? I believe this will get us there. And then solution. It's kind of a 3-step thing. A lot of these things have metrics that's set up once you do a test to help you develop a hypothesis. But it is problem, what I think the solution is, test, solution. And then you iterate on those and you just keep going.
It's a never-ending thing that eventually improves over time. So that's kind of where the design development stage comes in, right? So you basically have come up with your hypothesis, like, I think this is going to improve it. So then you go through, okay, now we're going to essentially design the different aspect that we want. We're going to develop it in there, and then we're going to basically approach. Now, one of the questions I've always thought about, how do you decide how many tests you should do at once? Because if you do too many at once, your data is like all mixed up. So do you focus on very minimal changes, or do you do like one big change and let it sit? What do you kind of think is the best approach there?
I'm a big component of just one test at once. Now, these one tests can have multiple variations going. So you can test multiple, I don't know if you want to bring it back to your housing analogy, but you can have like one test is the front door, and I'm going to have 4 different colors of that front door. So then you just test which one works the best. Now, once you start adding in more testing subjects, it's going to be hard for you to pin down which variable actually is the best because of all these other factors that are affecting the test.
Yeah. And sometimes the goal isn't always a conversion, correct? Wouldn't it sometimes be like the click-through rate? So theoretically, you use the front door analogy, they're not actually converting, they're just coming into my house.
Correct.
So if we consider that like your homepage and there's an A spot and we just want to move the button to get them to go to a certain collection or go to a certain product, that could just be, we just want to see the improvement of the click-through rate to get them to that page.
Yeah. We just ran one, if you think about it, where the goal wasn't for conversions. It was to bring people to a lead form that would then take them to the brick and mortar store. So our sole purpose was to get people on that form page. And by that, you just put something on the homepage and we tested it. So yeah.
Beautiful. So with that, obviously there's a ton of different options out there. We're VWO partners, so we tend to favor that one, although we've used Convert in the past. Optimizely is a really good one. Optimizely is definitely on the higher end of things. Google Optimize is being sunset
September.
Yeah, it's like
Soon.
a couple weeks from now, isn't it?
Yep.
So probably not a good one to use. But VWOs tends to be our favorite, but there's a bunch of others out there too. Then you push them live, right? So you push those tests live, you monitor them, you're tracking results, just like you would with really anything else. So it's just kind of grading the overall hypothesis, which variation worked better. Kind of like if you were A/B testing in the email, right? So at that point, it's just leveraging the data, reading what's working, what didn't work, what might have had an effect on, and then deciphering which one of those variations you got to go live with. Then you have the post-test analysis. So this would be basically once you've set that winning variation, keeping an eye on it, continuing to analyze it, and just making sure. Like sometimes when you run these tests and you see like something has done well, you go, great, you push it live, but you should still keep an eye on it for a little while before you just kind of turn a blind eye to it. Because sometimes, who knows, maybe that test wasn't as big as you probably should have set it to be, or maybe in some scenarios, it just happened to be an anomaly where it did really well and then it actually affects things negatively. So while you want to make sure that you run the test for a tolerable period of time and you have enough data coming in, you still should keep an eye on things once you actually push any change live.
Oh, absolutely. Even if you're like running the test during, I know a lot of e-com sellers are here, but you need to watch when you're running promotions along with tests, because that can do a spike in kind of what works, what doesn't.
Yeah. I'm going to change this poll again because I'm kind of curious. This is actually going to give us some more insight here. So let me know if hopefully you're all aware, just publish this poll. I'm actually going to do a different one. So I'm curious as to what the conversion rate is of your current website. I mentioned that, e-commerce tends to be a standard on the low end for like a 2%. But we've got some 6, 7, 8%. I think we've got one who's close to like 11. And then depending on the site, if it's a place where people like to shop around, it could be less than 0.5%. So it's all over the place. So the poll just launched. Let us know what you think while we kind of carry on here for a second, because we're going to get into the teardown side.
1 to 3. Yeah,
all right.
Kind of trickling in at
Time
the
for the fun part. Ready to do this?
I mean, this is kind of my wheelhouse, so yeah, I'm in.
I'm super excited for this. Okay. So if you did not already submit your website to us, you can put it into the chat. If we've got time, we will try to get to the stuff that's in the chat. If we don't have time, we're actually going to set something up where we might be able to still do it for you just outside of this event. But for now, we're going to kick some stuff off with everyone who submitted everything. So first one we're starting off with, Brixton. Thank you for submitting your website. We are going to tear it apart. Jason, guide me. Where would you like me to start here?
Well, first things first, I think I personally know Brixton. Your imagery is extremely compelling, and it's great, professional. The first thing I'd like to go to once you get into the site is go to a PDP real quick. Any is fine. And this is where, like, we're just tearing it down, but if we were to set up our thing and set up data before, we'd be able to pinpoint exactly where we'd want to go. So we can start at this page just because this is the only page I could find that had this kind of, is this?
I got one right here, actually. These aren't actually PDPs. I thought these were PDPs.
No, so
this
that,
is reloading
that,
the same
that
collection page.
That was one of the things. So if you do that as well and you go to men's t-shirts, it has the same exact thing up top. Now, on desktop, I wouldn't, it's a little bit of an issue, but I want to consider it huge. My biggest problem with this is on mobile. This takes up, from what I remember, a whole top spot where you cannot.
Yeah, it's tough to. This on mobile is kind of tough to judge because it's not an actual mobile.
Yeah,
let's take desktop for now because I know it's not beautiful. Let's see your PDP.
PDP here. I would, if you scroll down, you see right there where it says free shipping under the CTA, free shipping on orders over 120. So right now, they're giving you product recommendations under it. If you click that, that will take you to wherever you got to go. However, you have a view product as well. I would test making that view product and add to cart, and then right when you click the add to cart, it pops up with like a little sizing chart. So then you can just add to cart right there. You don't have to get to another PDP. You don't have to
leave this one.
Yeah, because you're just bouncing back and forth.
Gotcha. One thing I'm noticing too down here, you've got your loyalty program, but you also have what looks like a 20% off. So when I close this, they overlap. I would find a way to either test just getting rid of one of those or moving these buttons around, because having that kind of overlap is not ideal. You can ignore these two stupid things on the end. That's my fault. Those are extensions I got.
If you look at the extension, you can kind of use that as an example. You see the yellow one you have off to the right? You can make that a loyalty tab.
Yeah, you could do it off to the side kind of thing up here.
Yeah. Another one so now go to collection page for me.
Straw hats.
Now go down, and this is one of the big tests I'd like to see. So if you hover over one of these images, right, you have a quick buy. And if you click that quick buy, it then drops down to another big thing, and then you can add to cart.
Very big.
I would love to test.
Yes.
I know why they probably have the quick buy, because of sizing. But I would try and develop a system where you can test this versus making the quick buy and add to cart, where you can pick a size really quick. Because like I said in the beginning, their imagery is it's professional, it's compelling, that a lot of people like the quick buy. I don't think you need necessarily the whole time.
Yeah. This also just feels very large.
It's definitely large. It definitely pushes down. We see in our clients, a lot of the people will scroll down in this PDP and go to related products and just kind of scroll through there, and they just shop that way. So, I mean, it pushes that down further.
Yeah.
Another one that I kind of got into was go ahead and add that to your cart. So it has a drop down. That's nice. So keep shopping. Now go to a different product. Or, you know what? This is what it was. If you click on your cart now, it's going to take you to your cart and not do the pop-up. I would test that if you're on a collection page and you're shopping, you click on that cart, it does the drop down again, and you can see. Because you already have the functionality to go keep shopping or let me view my cart from the drop down. So why not use that and keep people on purchasing pages?
I feel like I would also, like this stay connected area, I would probably test getting this lower and bring up upsells, recently viewed, or anything of the upsells, because right here you're pushing the free shipping. I would rather have an option here to see what the free shipping side of things is. And these like progress bars for free shipping, awesome. I think they do really well. But you want to be able to let them do like almost like a quick buy, like right here. And I would find a way to almost make maybe this you bring up over to the side, find a way to loop this up so that you can bring those last minute ads up to.
How about, I didn't even get this, press checkout. Do they do a pop up even with especially with this free shipping bar? They do not. Some people, if you have that free shipping bar and everything, and you're really trying to push people to do that, if you press checkout, huh? Oh, you issue.
So I also had an issue with PayPal.
Yeah, if you check out, some people do a pop up saying recommended before you go. Do you want to get free shipping? Type of pop up.
I agree. I feel like the other thing I would test too with these PDPs, having an add to cart like this, where like really to me the buy with Google Pay is standing out more than the add to cart. So I know a CTA button color is very standard, but it would be definitely something that I would implement as well.
And what do you do? What happens when you click more payment options? Does it drop into more CTAs for other things, or does it take you to?
So it's taking me straight to the cart, which I probably wouldn't do. Because if I haven't added anything to my cart yet, I got nowhere to go.
Yeah. I mean,
Definitely
personally,
some options there.
yeah, personally, if they have an Apple Pay button there, you got me. You got me.
Yeah, I would make this as more of like, if you want to see more pay options, it's almost like a
Drop down,
like an accordion kind of thing. Yeah, and it's got all your extra options, which I'm sure we'll touch on the buy with Prime thing at one point, but you could have that in there also if you're an Amazon seller.
Yeah.
All right, what do you think? You want to go to the next site?
Yeah. Overall, I mean,
Keep moving here.
yeah, their photography is right up my alley. It's great.
Yeah. Overall, I mean, it's a really good site. It just, there's a handful of things where I would A/B test that. And then obviously it's going to come down to the data. Some of these stuff on the homepage, it'd be interesting to see how much of this is actually getting any traction.
Oh yeah.
To me, the menu options are a little overwhelming. So it would be kind of interesting, like with this, when you go through men, I know you can sort here, but really you've got, you're in men, you've got headwear, you can sort it through that way, but I feel like you might be able to improve on some of the filtering here to be able to sort a little bit differently than what you've got, but it'd all be A/B testing.
Yeah. There's a lot of places where a customer can kind of go astray with them, as many options they have.
Yeah. To whoever submitted Brixton, thank you. I hope we weren't too, that was nice.
Yeah, I'm not. I'll try to.
All right. Drink iconic, or just iconic, obviously.
Iconic.
You're next. Thank you for submitting. So let's do this one. Where would you like me to start with this guy?
I mean, the homepage. My first initial test would be CTA colors. I would put something that pops. I mean, like, look at that blue. Right when I come on this page, my eye directly goes to that blue packaging.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I would test blue. This is one where I would test variations, because I believe they also have they have a latte flavor that's very bright, like red, pinkish.
Yeah.
That I would test CTA.
Yeah, I would implement some of these colors more, because this thing, like that is bright, and it would be interesting to have a CTA that kind of matches this. All right, so you've got available on Amazon here. Interesting. So by the looks of this URL, I think you are using your title DP. Yeah, it looks like you are using your brand commission, your affiliate link. Might want to test using a buy with Prime option, which we'll touch on that towards the end here. But the buy with Prime side, seen a nice little uptick on the conversion rate from that. Granted, cost structure is a little bit different, but could also be an option for you to test with that and just kind of A/B test those two things.
I mean, even back on the collection page, just little things like this that get me right when you were hovered over that bottle. I mean, your cursor switches, but like there was no CTA hover. There was nothing. Yeah. So, I mean, I am young enough to know that every website I can kind of click on anything, but you never know.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Having it like in Brixton, they had it where it changed to, image number 2 or something like that. And you could have it test with that kind of action as well, which would bring you to something like this.
Yeah.
Or even if you did the nutrition facts would be interesting.
Yeah. And then even one of the biggest ones we see is predictive search is an extremely good component for conversion. There's no search function here. Now, you do not have a lot of product. However, people like to just search for exactly, if they see an ad or something like that, then they go to your website. They'd rather just click it in, search it, and go directly to it. I've been down a rabbit hole with this, and there's been research saying predictive search is like we'll do 11% conversion, as high as 11, as low as 2. Some cases have 40%. It's all over the place. Just the consensus is that predictive search is like an extremely good component to have on your site.
Yeah. This is interesting.
What's that?
So on this page, right? So you're on a PDP here. You can add to cart. Obviously, you have your cart up here. It takes a minute for it to load, but there's an additional cart here. I feel like this is unnecessary, and I would have this cart. It's got the same functionality, so it kind of feels repetitive. Thoughts on that? Am I off base with that?
The cart button on. Oh yeah, because your thing was. Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's kind of slow loading. I mean, I do like the fact that it keeps your cart available, so you don't need to have like a sticky menu. But do you have a preference on sticky menu? I feel like in some cases, I actually kind of like a sticky menu as long as it stays thin and at the top.
I like the cart there. I mean, and if the cart's there, the cart up top is a beautiful place to put your search.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
You easily have a little search option right next to this guy.
Yep. Another thing too, which I guarantee a lot of people know, and it's an ongoing thing. Homepage, there's only one. I think there's only one testimonial. We love social proof. We try and put testimonials and selling points on everything we do. It really just builds customer trust. I would add more. You have logos here, which is fantastic, but I would try and find more. Like you say, the people have spoken. However, it's one guy. You know what I mean?
Touche. Yeah, I get that. You could have it as a rotator.
Yep.
I completely agree. Obviously social proof is relatively self-explanatory, but the one thing that drives me crazy as a user and as someone who obviously lives on websites all day, the people that get the little pop-ups that say so-and-so just purchased from, California, and then it pops up again. I personally can't stand those things. I don't know if it's because me personally, I know that some of them are a complete lie, but then others, it's also just like constant. It's taking your eye away from what I want them to do. I know that people purchase from you because you should have reviews set up on your site like we've got here.
And if someone really likes that feature, you can always do, what website does it? I think it's Etsy or something like that. You do under your reviews, if you really want to, if you have enough purchases, this many have been purchased in the past week, or this many people have this in their cart. Certain things like that. I know, as well as I know we're probably not the customer base because we know everything like that, but I hate those pop-ups as well. They're a bit, I don't want to say, I feel like a lot of them are fake. So,
yeah. From a cart perspective, not too bad. Again, though, the unlock free shipping might be interesting to have a little progress bar there. It's a little bit more explanatory to have how much further do you need to get to shipping? And then obviously you've got your little ad option, so consider adding that in there too.
Yeah, I do see someone just said in chat too. They do have reviews on PDPs, a lot of them too. Why not? Let's utilize that. Let's put more of that on the homepage. You can even
and you're who's this by? Let's see if I can tell who. I think no loyalty line you got in there. You've got Hotjar. Way to go. I don't know who's hosting your review section, but that is an option. You could put that up on the homepage and just do a collection of them and put them all up in the front.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Keep moving. Vapor Store. Interesting. It was interesting. At first glance of this one, I was kind of like, this homepage is bland. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on it? It feels kind of bland to me.
When I was looking at my first notes, I get that this is now a somewhat huge market going. I'm not a vape guy, but I would love to see, kind of like how Brixton had, more compelling photography. Right now, it just looks like, I don't know how to describe it. Like a big aftermarket marketplace. I need an old school marketplace.
Yeah, and I think I think we might have some bugs with it too. Interesting. Let's try this one.
It's wireframe loading too, though.
Yeah, it looks like it's having some loading issues also. Oh, no. Come on, man. You gave us a website for a teardown. It's not even loading. Bummer. All
Yeah,
right.
all of them are wireframe
Well,
loading.
you know what I would A/B test? Better development.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it loading on your end?
No, I'm getting wireframe loads too. So if you look, you can only see like the outlines of everything.
Yep. So it looks like might be having some problems there. So if I go straight to a page, yeah I completely agree from an imagery standpoint. Now, I don't know if you're a reseller or if some of the stuff is your own brand. So sometimes getting imagery is a little bit tough, but additional product imagery would be fantastic here. This could definitely, it's got a lot of extra room here. I would almost like make this a little bit bigger, or maybe, probably make the actual cost a little bit bigger on here. Although it's sold out right now. You do have it set to be able to notice when it's available. I think with this one, might have to let this one go. You want to go to the next one? This one's tough to judge if.
Here, go to the homepage real quick. There is one thing.
You got one working?
Go all the way down to like the section where right there. You see, I don't know, right in the middle where there's all the individual products. You see that blue one that says True Bar Disposable? The second row.
Got it.
Take a look at that and let me know once you scroll.
Oy.
Quite a lot of flavors, isn't there?
Yeah, a lot of flavors, some that are obviously out of stock. I would turn this at least into a drop down or something.
Yeah. I would definitely
to make this like take less time up here.
And then another thing, while this was loading and I was looking, all of their PDPs, their description on the right-hand side was extremely long and pushes reviews down. So I would either implement drop downs and kind of drop down all that to bring your reviews up. And this one did have, it would also bring up you may also like, and you could test putting you may also like before your reviews as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. But main thing, you're going to have to look in your dev.
Load time.
All right. Donna, self-care. Interesting. Not really a fan of this A spot because it's kind of tough to
try and
cut off.
Try and click on either or.
You
need to click on that CTA to go somewhere on that A spot. You can't click on the image.
Yeah, so you got to make this image clickable.
Now, the CTA is definitely coded in. And I understand that. But you can definitely make these images clickable so it would take you to a purchasing page.
Yep.
It
also resize the images.
Yeah. Let me see how it looks on mobile. Yeah, see, that's the problem. On mobile, this is built for mobile. It's the CTA is right in the middle. It's like perfect. And then right when you go to desktop, it slides it off to the side. Yeah.
Which is great that it's built for mobile, but you expect a lot of people are starting on mobile and then they might be moving over into desktop. So you got to make sure that it's still clear there. My first thing on this PDP is there is a lot of extra white space off to the side here.
Yes, and I have a weird feeling that see at top right arrows, that goes to another product. That column might be taking up, pushing it off to all the description off to the side.
That's very odd.
Another thing, I got pretty good eyes, and I don't need glasses. However, especially in the bullet points, it's a condensed kind of playful font. I would test doing something else. The white with mid-gray, I understand it looks nice. I would maybe bring up, like maybe the headline goes black and try and start doing some hierarchy on the PDP. And then another thing, I know this is also could be budget, could be whatever, but I hate to say it, the images look like, especially when you zoom in on them, look like they're from maybe an iPhone.
I get these cleaned up a little bit.
Like if you click on that magnifying glass on the top right, you can kind of tell There's some blurry, some pixelation.
Yeah.
I am a creative, so my heart always goes to professional photography.
Yeah, I like UGC style stuff, but typically as like a different, almost like a, what are we looking at here? So you got like spa stuff, like almost like you could get some influencer images and have it near like your review section and have like a separate kind of UGC section. But I agree. I think product imagery in itself should be as quality as you can get it.
And even with something like this, you may not have reviews on some of your stuff, but you can get UGC and make a separate section saying like look how people use it or what, and you can have a bunch of take it from Instagram or wherever and put a nice rotator showing all the UGC stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Some of this other stuff too, like you've got shop, but you've only got 4 drop downs, and then you've got it split out with partners and blog and FAQs. So from a marketing perspective, when you think of your blog is really more meant from a top of funnel perspective of get as many people in that might be searching for something that are, they're looking for an answer to something or anything along those lines. So to have it up at your homepage is almost like you're saying, I want people who come to my website to then go to my blog, when in reality, most of the time they go to your blog and then they go to your website. So I'm not a fan of putting a blog in the main menu. Even FAQs or even sometimes your about page, not always a huge fan. If you've got 4 different places for people to purchase, you got 4 different collection pages here, I'm more of a fan of put all 4 up at the top. You've got showcase what you've got, focus on your product line up top. People are there to shop, show them what you're selling, show them what your offering is. You've also got your logo up here twice. This is obviously just taking you back to the homepage, but so is this, so it's a little redundant. So I would actually get rid of this. The average person knows that they can click a home logo and it will take them back to the home. So this will open up your menu to showcase the product line more. And then for your search function here, it kind of got hidden. I'd have to design it out to see what it looks like, but I feel like this would also probably be better over here where more of like the admin style stuff is. So there's a couple things up at the homepage you could test. But overall, with all of these sites, I mean, there's definitely some areas where it's like, you really should be implementing the tests to kind of see what's working. Several of them, they've got some functionality side of things that need to get resolved. But outside of that, there's definitely some areas of like A/B test some of these button colors, A/B test some of these structures. Some of these home pages could use some love. Like a lot of people who have heard about your brand from, let's say, social media or from really any kind of marketing that you have, unless you're doing paid ads and driving them directly to a product listing, chances are they just heard about you somewhere. So they're going to Google you or they're going to go directly to your website, which means your homepage outside of your product page is one of the most important places that you should A/B testing stuff. And then the next spot, because usually once they come to your homepage, is either A, your search, or B, your collection page, where you can make sure that you're showcasing like how to get to certain products.
It's the outside of your home. It's the great landscaping. That's what it is.
I'm glad that I set the tone for a nice little analogy with that. I completely agree.
Yeah.
All right. I don't want to take up everybody else too much time. So really appreciate everyone who's doing a live teardown. So we're not going to give up on it yet, though. So obviously, I got to do a quick second here and let you know, obviously, if this is a direction that you're all hoping to go in and you're looking for how a way that we can help, we do this kind of stuff all the time. Obviously, what is an event like this without us plugging all of our fun stuff? So we do all different types of packages we've got in place for like light A/B testing or simple just overall audits and things like that. So if it's the direction you want to go in, please feel free to shoot me an email. My email is andrew@bluetuskr.com. However, if you wanted to get your website teardown done today, I've got a few in here and we didn't have enough time to get to them. Do me a favor, shoot me an email, andrew@bluetuskr.com, and I will drop my email in the chat now. And then that way I have your contact information, also include your email. And then we'll go ahead and we'll actually take a look at them. We'll send you like a screen share video or something. So we'll run through them for you as well, just as a little bit of appreciation for everyone who joined us today. On top of that, so I mentioned the Buy with Prime side. So if anyone noticed, Buy with Prime is actually nice enough to help sponsor this event today. And one of the reasons that we allowed them to do so was because we see them as a very nice improvement from a CRO perspective if you are an Amazon FBA seller in the United States. If you are not, probably not a good fit for you. Actually, it's definitely not, because it's not an option.
Yeah.
But right now we are doing a deal with them. So I have a landing page that I just dropped into the chat as well. Essentially, we're giving completely free CRO audits to anyone who wants to implement Buy with Prime. If you don't know what Buy with Prime is, at a really, really high level, what I can tell you is it's a button that gets added to your website where someone can click it and purchase directly from Amazon, but without leaving your website, and it's fulfilled by Prime. However, you get to keep all of the information. It's significantly less expensive. There's no FBA fee or anything like that. So it's a great way to improve the overall conversion rate, because they see an average of about a 25% improvement of conversion rate for the site overall, because some people, if they're not familiar with your site and they see that you're available on Amazon, it's kind of like additional brand awareness from outside of that. So it's definitely something that could be worth testing. Or even if you just want a free CRO audit and you have the ability to implement Buy with Prime, it's something you could A/B test for like a month. And if it doesn't work, then you just take it down and you got a free CRO audit. So you got total options. Plus, there's a ton of other stuff there with like reviews and stuff. But if anyone's interested, feel free to head over to that landing page I just put in the chat. And then we can implement it for you and get a free CRO audit for you done. But free CRO audit. All right, so we're going to give one of these guys away. And this, you don't have to be an Amazon seller in this case. This one, we're just going to give one away. So same thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, shoot me an email, Andrew@BlueTuskr.com. If you want to have a free CRO audit and you want to be put into the running for this, shoot me an email. I'm going to take everyone who submits and I'm going to throw it all into a randomizer. We're going to pick one of you guys and we're going to give you a free CRO audit. That audit has, I can't remember the number, over 300 different points that we're going to look at. So we will look at every aspect of your homepage, your PDP, your collection page, your cart, your your checkout, like everything. We'll go through the whole thing. We'll also run some additional tests on it to be able to kind of give you some insight into what we suggest and all that kind of fun stuff. So we can do a nice little free audit for you. So if you're interested, shoot me an email. If you want to have us do like a quick little teardown like we just did, shoot us an email. We'll shoot you a quick little loom. Or if you're interested in the Buy with Prime and getting a free CRO audit that way, head over to that landing page. I got it. It's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
But we did it. Kept it in under an hour.
Yeah.
Pretty proud of us.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad. Thank you all so much for joining. Jason, thanks, buddy.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me.
See, you were fun.
I mean, once you get the websites, I'm all in.
There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for joining. Again, if you're interested in any of the stuff we mentioned, shoot me an email. It's Andrew@BlueTuskr.com. It's all in the chat. There's no E in Tusker. But shoot me an email. And of course, if anyone has any questions, feel free to contact us. But as usual, thank you all so much for joining us. And we'll see you all next time. Have a good one.